maybe 3/4 of a mile or so, and it was right next to a firehouse, and whenever the firemen were called out, they would blow the whistle, which would make us all jump. And if you were writing with ink, in those days, the pen, you dipped it in a bottle of ink, and then it sort of dripped off the end, and if you were writing and you jerked the pen, while you make a blob on your paper and have to start all over. So whenever the fire whistle blew, we would ruin our papers. And our school was right opposite our church, which was the first Presbyterian church in Union, and it had been there since the Revolution. And I remember that they said that at the time of the Revolution, the minister's wife got shot to death, and they had a big cemetery with a lot of old headstones there. And later on, for middle school, from 7th and 8th grades, I guess it was, I went to another school in the opposite direction from the house. It was much further away, and we had to walk home for lunch about a mile each way. But we walked through an apple orchard, and I think a lot of the apples got eaten one way or another. And I always enjoyed school. There was so much to do and so many interesting things to learn. And let's see, when I was younger, I remember we had a furnace that burned coal, and you had to keep adding coal all day. And we had a window over a big sort of empty room in the basement, and the coal truck, the guy that delivered the coal, put a chute or a slide through the window and dumped the coal in there until they filled up the coal bin, and then you had to shovel coal from the coal bin and carry it over to the furnace, which wasn't very far, but was a lot of work and very dirty. So that's the way we heated our house. And at night they banked the fires, and I don't know what that consisted of, but I think they piled the coal up high or something so it would last all night. And they had a system of dampers, or ways of letting in more or less air so that the fire would burn hotter or colder. And that's all I know about it, keeping up the fire. And I remember that my younger brother used to like to sleep outside in his tent. He had a little tent, and he had a crystal radio, which apparently just, it didn't need any electricity or anything. You have a wire that sits on a crystal, and somehow you get radio waves out of it, and he used to listen to that. And later on, he had a real ham radio, and he was always in the basement listening to his ham radio and talking to people all over the world that way. Dust Bowl. Even though the Dust Bowl and the Depression were going on when I was younger, I wasn't aware of them. My father had a good job with the electric company, and the only thing I really remember from those days is that there was an election day where Franklin D. Roosevelt was running against Hoover. And Roosevelt had done all sorts of things to help people that were out of work. But my father, I guess he didn't sympathize with him, because he wanted to vote for Hoover. But I remember that Roosevelt won instead. In particular, I remember that the WPA was very well known. It's called the Works Progress Administration, something that Roosevelt started to give jobs to people that were unemployed. Are you watching there? Mm-hmm. And we used to just see people digging along the side of the road. I don't know, they were digging ditches or whatnot. But actually these WPA projects employed artists and all sorts of people in different trades that weren't working at the time. So they really helped a lot of people, but I guess my father didn't know about that, and I didn't either. But I learned a lot more as I grew up. I was just probably about 8 years old when Roosevelt got elected, so I wasn't into politics or even history. So I remember I skipped the 3rd grade, as a teacher thought I should jump from 2nd to 4th, so I did that and didn't have any problem. And then eventually, after I went to high school, I went to Mount Holyoke College in Massachusetts, and that was right near where my father's parents lived, in Holyoke, Massachusetts. And I really enjoyed that and studied all the things that I was interested in, as well as the ones that we had to take. We had to take English and a history course, and I guess I took French, which was a 4th year of French, and we had to have everything in French, and even read a book entirely in French, which was brand new then, but I managed it. And but the thing that I really liked was the math, and so I majored in math, and I took algebra and geometry and trigonometry and lots of other things that I could hardly remember the names of them anymore. And I did very well in school, and I got nearly all A's, and I enjoyed studying so much I just wanted to go on studying. So after I graduated from there, oh, by the way, when I was there, I sang in the Glee Club, and the choir, each class, each freshman, sophomore, and so forth, had a separate choir, and I sang in each of those, and in the Glee Club, and we gave a Christmas concert in New York, as well as right on the campus every year around Christmas time. And when I left Mount Holyoke, I went to school at Yale in New Haven, Connecticut, and Yale is a famous place. But what did I do there? I lived in a dorm, yes, I sort of remember that. They had a dorm for graduate women, and I just stayed there 1 year and got a master's degree in mathematics, which mostly I liked, but not all of it. There's one course in particular I thought was terrible, and I dropped it. And but I got enough coursework for the requirements and got a master's degree there. And I was interested in teaching mathematics at whatever level. I guess mainly I was thinking of high school, but I couldn't get the right accreditation to allow me to teach in New Jersey, where I came from. So I took a job out in South Dakota where I was teaching American Indian girls at a school called St. Mary's School for Girls. It was run by the Episcopal Church. And most of these kids had one or more Indian parents from various tribes, like the Sioux or Oglala, or what, however you say it. Excuse me. But they sort of felt that they had been discriminated against. I think they really were, and made to feel that they weren't very good at math or anything, but I thought, they could learn it just as much as anybody else could if they followed directions and do one step at a time. So I think I was a good math teacher,